And when the movie came out, they did a big wrestling tournament somewhere, and they had me come and be Brell and my sunglasses, and they had me, yelling at people and doing stuff, and it was really a lot of fun. It gave me a sense of what it was like to do. I mean, they just tell you to do it, and you go do it. It's really, it's fast and dirty the way they do it.
So who is Brell based off
Brell, I think Brell at that time was based off of Ted Turner, more Ted Turner. I was thinking more Ted Turner, but an evil Ted Turner. I don't think Ted Turner's anything like Brell. But that was sort of my, the head of the ruthless head of a cable company who would do anything to get ahead, including kill. So, your typical network executive.
Right, right, literally kill. Yeah,
yeah.
Did you think that No Holds Barred was going to be like like a cult classic or a niche, or what did you kind of think of it when you got put on the project?
Well, I honestly didn't know what to think. I didn't know whether, I didn't know how many wrestling fans there were. I really didn't. I didn't know much about the world of wrestling. And also, we opened the same weekend as Indiana Jones. I think Indiana Jones 2 or something. And I thought, oh my God, no one is going to see it. No one. But it turned out to, it made money, and I cannot believe. I don't look anything, I'm 35 years older than that now, but people still stop me for that movie, which is crazy,
Yeah, that is crazy. But if you look at it too, it's like, okay, did it make money? Yes, it did. Plus, they did the match and the movie, so they did the pay-per-view.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
There's additional income too, right? In revenue.
Yes, there was additional income. Not that I saw any of it, but I'm
right.
I'm glad that they made money.
Right.
And
all the wrestling fans bought the VHS and then eventually DVD.
That's right. And it went on Blu-ray. I mean, it came on Blu-ray a year ago or something. Yep. The movie refuses to go away. So, people want it still. It's actually, when you look at it now, it's a real 80s movie, but it's incredibly fun to watch. I mean, it's really, it's very entertaining. There's a lot going on, I'll tell you.
I love it. Well,
yeah.
Joan Severance. I mean, back in the day. I mean, hooey. Growing up, looking at her, is like, man, instant crush. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was all right there. It was, she's delightful, and honestly, she still looks fantastic.
For No Holds Barred, how did you end up getting the audition for that one?
Peter, I was just going over to Peter, young. Now I'm with Gloria, that handles Danny Trejo and Emilio from Mayans. But Peter handled me for 30 years of my career. I've been in business about 35 years. So I was going to him, and they gave me little notes. So when I was training, I was only 282. And then I got stuff and got jacked up to about 310. They never seen nobody body tripped the way my body tripped. My body went crazy when I got on stuff. But when I went in as Zeus. I went in bare chested, pumped up. I was doing my push-ups in the bathroom, baby all up. I had a Z joint in my head, and I walked in with the boots. I had the boots already made. I went to Chambers. Chambers is the #1 shoe store in LA that makes everybody's stuff, all the celebrities. So Chambers made the Zeus shoes, and Vince kept the ones they made and implemented in the film. But I walked in as Zeus. So everybody was auditioning. All these black guys was auditioning. I even heard there was even auditioning white guys at the beginning. But this is what I learned about life. 2 white guys fighting or 2 black guys fighting don't make no money. A big white guy and a big black guy. You see what happened with Mayweather and McGregor? See how much money both of them made. We live in a very crazy country.
Did you know much about wrestling before that?
Didn't know a damn thing about it. Yeah, I remember this. Vince McMahon is the best at negotiating too. So Vince, let me tell you what Vince did. I only had $350 in the bank. But I didn't want to I didn't want to touch no dude. I don't want no dudes to be sexual harassing me, man, grabbing me underneath my crotch and stuff. Vince puts the money in the bank account. You know how hard it is to take money out the account, out of your bank account. I had to pay rent. My house note was $1630, y'all. I had a 4-bedroom house with a jacuzzi. And I was in college. You couldn't tell me that. I had 2 beds. I was happy. And Vince, but my payment was coming up. And so Vince put $65,000 or $75,000 in my account, and then called me on a 3-way with my agent that handles Hulk Hogan too at that time, Peter Young. He said, "Man, well, you want to do this for me? I ain't touching no dudes, man. What you talking about?" He said, "We got to pull that $75,000 out the account and give it back to me." Shit, what do you want me to sexual harass? Let's go, man. It's like, he's the greatest negotiator, the greatest businessman I've ever met. He really knew how to sell a product.
Was it always understood then that you were going to have some matches after the movie was over?
We was just doing a movie. We was doing a movie, so he used the matches to promote the movie. He actually make sure we call it in Hollywood have legs.
Yeah.
The stay in the cinemas longer, you know.
Yeah.
So he used the matches because he put the $10 million up to do the film.
Right.
And I think the movie made $100 million.
And you know, Tom Tiny Lister was there, and they would work a lot on their stuff. And you know, these wrestlers would come in and do a day or two, and man, there were some big dudes.
Zeus ain't no small guy either. Wasn't no small guy. He was monster.
No. I spent a lot of time with him. He was funny. He was funny. I was very sad to hear when he passed away. He was a good guy.
The funny thing is too, like, okay, like that no holds barred ball, but then they make the action figures. They made an action figure last year of Hogan and Zeus together. I think it's $80 or $100. Yeah, it came out last year.
My God, why don't they make a Brel action figure?
They should. Hogan versus Brel. Put them together.
Why not?
Because they make so many Hogans, so they're putting the different guys with Hogan, and they put Zeus.
Wow, I'll bet that went well. I'll bet that, and he wrestled for a while. He went out on the circuit for a while.
Yeah, but he wrestled in Puerto Rico a little bit, WCW. Yeah, he wrestled a little bit. Yep.
But you know, it's interesting. Zeus, I think, he was a physical specimen.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, in the ring, he didn't have near the speed or flexibility or just the chops of like a Hulk. I mean, if they really wrestled, it would be no contest. I mean, he was Hulk. Really, I thought, oh man, this guy's a real athlete, because he was. I mean, he was really good. And seeing him with another really big guy, but he totally, you know, not with the camera, not with the camera angles and everything. He really in life outclassed him in the ring by a very wide margin, actually.
I totally agree. Zeus was very much like almost like the bodybuilder that couldn't really move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that type of guy.
Yeah, he was muscle bound, kind of. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect villain though, like the perfect look for a villain. Scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, he was scary. He had all right. I got the 5-minute call, so he had one eye that went the other way. I mean, that was he played a lot of that movie helped him a lot. He got a lot of bad guy roles from that film.
I only recently rewatched No Holds Barred and realized that it was you wrestling Hulk Hogan in the opening scene there. Were you at all concerned about doing that without the makeup, that people would know it was you? It's amazing that it didn't look like you somehow.
Yeah, you didn't know. I'll tell you a funny true story. No, Barry was supposed to do it first, and I was happy because that meant they flew out one day early. They did the taping the second day and flew back the third day. That meant I was going to have 3 days off. I was happy. Well, a couple weeks later, Hogan comes to me because we had already had a series of matches in Japan, in the United States, and he just felt more comfortable with me working with him. And I said, if you clear it with Barry, it's fine. I'll do it. Now Barry's happy because he's got 1, 2, 3 days off. So we go out, we do the deal, and my parents know that the movie's coming out. When the movie came out, they went to the theater. They live in a small town south of Pittsburgh. They watched the movie, and they went through the whole movie. And I remember my mother telling me, she looked at my dad, she says, they must have taken Bill out of the movie. He wasn't in there. I didn't see him. My dad says, I didn't see him either. So the credits are running, and now they see Jake Bullitt, Bill Eadie. So it's a small town, so they stayed in the theater and watched the second time. And then they make the announcement, Jake Bullitt. Then they're looking at me and they say, it took us 2 times to see it, to see you.
Yeah, it's so weird because when you know it's you, it's obvious, but somehow if you're not expecting it, it doesn't compute.
Right.
How was the pay for that compared to your normal wrestling pay?
It was about the same. It was, the nice thing was that we took it in one take. A lot of people don't realize that. They had the building scheduled from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. They were going to do this and this and this and this. So we flew out. Hogan met me in the airport at Atlanta, and we're flying out and we're discussing the match, what we're going to do. This is what he wants to do. This is what we do, blah, 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 blah. So we landed in I think it was Topeka, went to the gym, worked out, got up the next morning. They did all that makeup and all that stuff. And they said, okay, we're going to do our first take. And they had planned to do this all day. So we did the match, one take. And like their jaws dropped. Well, that was perfect. And then one guy said, well, what do we do now? And Hogan says, we're done. So we had to do a couple still photos, position, holding, and this and that, and things like that. But they wanted us to have that match 4 or 5 times. We didn't need it 4 or 5 times. They took a couple sections out of it because it was like a 12 or 15-minute match that we had. And I think in the movie it was like less than 2, right? So then we're gone. Then we get back on the Hogan had to stay, but I was gone. I was out of there and home the next day.
Were they at all afraid about kayfabing the live crowd there? Because wrestling was still secret. Yeah.
I don't think they may have been, but what are you shooting a movie for, right?
Right. Because they would have known.
And I think the people probably would say, oh, this is just a movie. This is not wrestling. In the wrestling, it's different. It's more real. This is a movie, so they have to stop and this and that.
When you look back at working with Hulk, to me, at one point there's 33 million people watching him versus Andre the Giant. I mean, he's more than mainstream. I mean, he kind of he broke through. He was a part of the fabric, he's part of the culture. What do you think about working with the Hulkster?
It was, I liked him a lot. He was really a very down-to-earth guy. You could just sit and talk to him, face to face, and he'd be very honest about things, and he's very real. And when he performed the wrestling, he was great. He really knows. He knows where to be, how to be, what to do. I mean, he's a true professional, and he has a lot of charisma. And it was like the first time he'd ever acted, and he did, especially for the first time, a very good job. But what he had that most people like me never have is the kind of charisma that just, you can't take your eyes off him when he's there, because who knows why? Because he's got charisma. If I knew what charisma was, I'd be very much richer than I am.
Like when people say charisma and like the it factor, like you're right, you can't put a feeling on it. But when Hulk walks like in an airport, or he walks, in Orlando when he's on his beach up, whatever, you're like, that's Hulk Hogan. Like,
that's right.
Yeah, there's something.
Why? I don't know. There's a lot of big blonde people around, but not everyone. Very few of them get the kind, you know, you're just drawn to him. You're drawn to him, like, you know, it's a very rare thing that he has.
What did you think about him in the movie? Did you think he did well? Did you like him in the movie? What did you think overall?
I thought I liked him. I thought he sold the character very well. I think even in later movies, his acting got better. But believe me, I've worked with a lot of first-time actors, and he was among the best first-time actors I'd worked with. And he was just, you know, and he was a good guy.
When you are like the villain and he's the good guy, are you guys working a lot together, like off camera and stuff, or no? They like you being kind of kept separate.
Well, when the camera's not rolling, there's a lot of sitting around. And so we, you know, when they're setting up lights, moving the camera, the things they do is just I mean, really, it can be a few hours. And we you know, talk a lot. And he had a young family then. I mean, his kids were tiny and they were running around. And you know, I think life was very good for him then, you know. And I thought he was a, you know, pretty happy guy, and you know, had a good hold on things. He you know, he was really, you know, trying to maximize his potential, and he knew what worked, and he was very good with it. So yeah, we did spend a lot of time together, but it wasn't like wrestler villain, or it was just, you know, two people talking. When the cameras rolled, it changed a lot.
He's probably picking your brain about acting. You're probably picking his brain
Yep.
about wrestling.
Absolutely. And, you know, we didn't talk enough. There was a move. I've said it before. There's some bit where he shoves a check down my throat, and, you know, in film, you don't really shove the check down the throat. It's fake. He, coming from the world of wrestling, shoved this check down my throat, and I swallowed about half of it. And I mean, it took me about an hour to recover. I was coughing for about 4, and I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. That's what we do. It was like, well, remind me not to do that. So I wish we talked a little more that time, but
yeah, right.
Besides that, you know.
And you teamed with Hulk Hogan in Japan.
I did. I ended up, Hogan was coming and a little bit, and we ended up being teamed up and did pretty good together. And you know, Hogan had a few other opportunities, you know, in the States, and you know, ended up going back and you know, becoming you know, one of the top guys ever, I guess.
When you were teaming with him, were you surprised on how well he ended up doing, or did you see that when you were?
Well, I mean, you know, when you're 6'8" and got a, you know, unbelievable body and, you know, so forth. I mean, he had a unique look and everything, and, you know, the look is, you know, at least half of it in it in some ways, and so, you know, no, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised that he didn't. You know, he was another guy that, you know, he didn't have it easy getting in either. You know, he had a hard time. I think Matsuda broke his leg and first time, and you know, he kept going. He was living on the beach, and you know, barely able to make it. You know, so, you know, good for him. You know, he was a smart guy.
And you ended up being the No Holds Barred movie. How did that happen?
Well, I mean, I guess they had a part there, and you know, it was Vince's and Hogan's movie, you know, and they asked if I wanted to be in that, you know, have a part in the movie. Yeah, I'd never done a movie. I was really happy to do, you know, it was fun, you know, and you know, had a couple of, I guess, classic line everybody talks about is, you know, is the line that I give in the bathroom or something, you know, I grab these two guys, you know, but, you know, it was a lot of fun. I wish I'd pursued that a little bit more now, you know, at an older age. I think I could have done some characters in movies, but
that was actually I liked that movie a lot, actually. And you did a great job in it. And was there any talk?
Hogan too, you know. Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie. I mean, you know, it was. I always tell this story. We went to the matinee theater. I took all my family. My little daughter was about 10 or, yeah, I don't know, yeah, maybe a little older, 12 years old. And we're watching the scene, you know, and I'm the bad guy, right? Until the real bad guy comes out, Zeus comes out, and he ends up, you know, ripping the hair out of my head and all this other stuff, you know. And, and we're the about 5 people with me, and we're the only people in the movie theater, you know. And when Zeus does this, my daughter jumps up in my lap, starts saying, "It's okay, Daddy, it's okay." I never forget that in my whole life. That's what I remember about the movie.
Was there any talk of you joining WWE around that time, since you already knew Hogan and you were?
You know, there was a time when, but I just made a verbal deal to go in for part-time, you know, in and out for Ole and the WCW.
Okay.
And I mean, like a week before, and then all of a sudden I do get a call, and you know, they said, "Yeah, I'd like to come in. And you can do this," and you know. And I said, "Golly, man, I made a handshake deal with the, you know, and I can't do it." So anyway, missed it. And but after the match with Hogan, and later on in Japan,
the summit you had, it was called the Wrestling Summit or something, that match.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wasn't even supposed to be on the card.
Okay.
You know, it was Terry Gordy supposed to be against Hulk Hogan, and some joint deal again. And anyway, at that time, Vince said, "If you're ever ready to give up Japan," this is Vince Jr.,
Yeah.
and you know, give me a call and come in, you know. But I never ended up giving up Japan. So
you ended up being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Just what are your thoughts on that? And
well, I mean, wow, you know, I mean, I was inducted into another Hall of Fame, you know, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, where all the guys voted me in a few years ago, and that, you know, that was a nice gesture. And then this year, the WWE, I wasn't ever thinking about it or anything, and but just out of the blue, they decided to elect me, and man, what a great experience. The WrestleMania in Dallas, and they treated me and my whole family just super nice, and it was just you know, it was really great, and I enjoyed it, and seeing everybody, and what a production. I mean, from, you know, not that I'm knocking the Amarillo, but you know, the production of pro wrestling in the early 70s, you know, to what it is today, it's like light years difference, you know. And what a organization the WWE has, obviously.
To me, as a wrestling fan and as a wrestler, I've seen No Holds Barred maybe 20 or 30 times from the time I was a kid. So you are like a superstar to somebody like me that grew up watching that movie.
Well, that is amazing to see No Holds Barred 30 times. That's the definition of a super fan.
Well, and I also interviewed Zeus, Tiny Lister, before he passed away.
Yeah. Oh.
And you worked with him, I know that.
I did. I liked him a lot. He was a good guy. He was funny. He was a real gentle giant, and loved by a lot of people.
That was actually the WWE's very first movie that I think Vince McMahon helped fund. Now they have a whole WWE Films division. I know the movie was a success at the time. Did the wrestlers treat you all right on the set? Because sometimes wrestlers tend to treat actors as outsiders.
Yeah. Well, I felt like an outsider, but that was my own feeling. I have to say, Hulk was actually fantastic, and we spent a lot of time just downtime. There's a lot of downtime when you're shooting, just shooting the breeze, and just talking about life and about investing and how he makes money in the WWF. I found it all very interesting. And then when the other wrestlers would come on, I was, I found them. They were all, I have to say, very nice to me because, I was very low key, and also they liked that I was playing the heel. They would always say, "You're a good heel. You're a good heel." So I guess the fact that I was a heel was a good thing for them.
You are a good heel, and you play heel in most of your movies. And a heel is a bad guy, right?
Yeah, it was a good living.
Now, I understand you also appeared at a WWE event as that Brel character. How was that experience?
Okay, that was one of the weirdest, for me, one of the weirdest experiences of my life, because at that time, I don't know how they do it now, but they were so casual about it. They flew me in to Stamford. They had sort of a film premiere at a movie theater in Stamford. And then when people were coming out, they had Mean Gene Okerlund there, and they just said, go up to Gene and tell him how much you hated the movie because Rip won. I said, well, do you have any lines for me? Anything you want me to say? No, you can do it. Do it. So I was, this was one of my first jobs. I was in over my head already. And I just went up there and just started acting like Super Brel and just yelling, the Rip won. Juice won. Zeus won. Rip, this is a lie. The fix is in. This is horrible. Then there was a sweet little kid walking out of the theater, and they said, this kid didn't know what was going on. He was just there with his dad. They said, go steal that cookie from that kid and yell at him. I said, does he know I'm coming? They go, no, it'll be fine. I think I made him cry. I went up to him later after, and I said, Jesus, that was just, they were just crazy, these guys. I'd never done anything like it. And it's amazing that these wrestlers do that all the time. It's amazing, I don't think everything, I think they all sort of have an idea. They all sort of know their storylines, but I think then they sort of improvise around it, and it's pretty amazing how good they are.
Well, I hope they bring you back for a manager before it's too late. Just
before I die. Yeah, I know. Really, they could kill me on. They could do a pie. They could find a way to off me. I'm sure. All right, now you listen to me. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a pussy. Go see Masters of Puppets at the Legacy. Shut up! At the Legacy Theater in Brantford, Connecticut. LegacyTheater.com, you jackasses!
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates.